and welcome to the Inside Connection powered by MediConnect Insurance. I'm Sean Horn, my good friend Lance O'Brien. We are a week deep into the Medicare annual enrollment period. We're kind of seeing things settle. We have a good, pace of what the market is really enabling consumers to take advantage of. So we're going to dig deep, hard and heavy into some of the things that are taking place. So before all that, Lance, I know you've been running around like a chicken with your head cut off. How are you doing today?
Feel like a hamster on a wheel, baby. You just do what you got to do. It's an exciting time. It's a great opportunity for us to serve the people in the community. So I love that. But yeah, it's definitely a whirlwind. And for the consumer, it doesn't have to be, though. Like, we want it to be a whirlwind for us, not just from a pace standpoint, but from what we're actually walking them through educationally, relationally. So it doesn't have to be a whirlwind for them, ultimately.
So as crazy as things are, I imagine things are still better for you than Matt Canada. So
I don't think they could be worse for anyone other than Matt Canada, but apparently no one inside that building knows that, so I don't know.
very frustrating.
That's job security right there, baby. I don't know what that's about, but
I tell you,
oh, Canada.
it's agonizing.
Yes.
Believe me. Again, I know that you're partially a Steeler fan, more of a Cowboy guy, but it's just painful to watch. But moving on from that pain, and again talking about the Medicare pain that a lot of our audience members unfortunately experience yearly, but don't have to when you have a resource like MediConnect working for you. We want to give like a market overview on why more people now are comparing their options versus even 5 years ago whenever the UPMC Highmark split was very close to happening. I mean, we saw a lot of activity then, kind of helped us launch our brand, but now with no market disruption, more and more people are coming to us and saying, wait, I'm hearing about these benefits I might be missing out on. What gives? Why do you think that's taken place?
Two short phrases, right? Price compression,
Okay.
benefit expansion.
Go through that a little bit. What does that mean?
Sure. So 5 to 7 years ago, if you were to get what would be considered a high quality Medicare Advantage plan locally, you had to pay somewhere between $80 and $120.
Okay.
So if you take that and you compare it to the price of the other type of private insurance, would be a supplement or a Medigap plan, you weren't that far off, depending, of course, on the beneficiary's age, right?
Correct.
Now what you've seen over the last 5 years, and it's been a slow, steady thing, whereas now we were saying 2 or 3 years ago to get a good Medicare Advantage plan, if you're paying more than $50, you're paying too much. Now I think we can pretty much say if you're paying more than $30 for your Medicare Advantage plan, you're spending too much. So price compression has been huge. They've been able to really dial in how much it costs to really offer these plans. So that's the first thing. And then I think the second thing, which is really the head scratcher for most people, you think you get what you pay for, right? So if the price is coming down, the benefits must be coming down at the same time, right? Well, the exact opposite has been happening. As the price has been compressing, the benefits have been expanding. So not only are you getting better copays for your medical things, you're not only getting more benefits when it comes to your dental, your vision, your hearing than you were able ever to get before. You actually had to have Medicare and Medicaid 5 years ago to get some of the benefits you're getting now on a regular plan, right? In addition to that, now every year it seems like they're adding even additional benefits like flex card, payment cards, groceries, utilities, all kinds of stuff. So I think that's why there's such a demand now, because you've seen price compression, at least from a monthly premium standpoint, much more affordable from a monthly premium standpoint than a supplement. And then from a benefit expansion, now I can get things I couldn't get with original Medicare. And I think those two dynamics, absolutely huge in the marketplace.
Well, I mean, I'll even take it a step further, and even on the other side of the table when it comes to Medigap, because we had a consumer, been a client of ours for a few years. I've serviced them in the past. They come in and met with Ramsey this week, where Ramsey was able to take them from the plans they had for a few years, put them on very similar coverage, lower their Medigap premiums by $100 a month.
So they stayed with Medigap plans.
Stayed with a Medigap plan, went through the underwriting, got approved, saved $100 a month in premium on the Medigap plan, But then, and here's the kicker of it all, this blows my mind. There's a 50 cents per month drug plan now available here in Western Pennsylvania. Most drug plans are between $20 to $30, $40 a month in premium, plus you have to pay your copays. So if you are on a Medigap plan, a Medicare supplement, and you have that separate prescription drug plan as you should, now you can pay as little as 50 cents per month in premium. And by the way, it's still very competitive coverage.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little earlier in the week internally here, right? Like, why even 50 cents at that point in time, right? Like, we would love to know the reason behind that, but you're right. For people that are taking one or two medications, some generic, 50 cents. And again, what some people still don't realize is that you do have to have prescription drug coverage when you're on Medicare within 63 days. If you don't, then you face a penalty. So people that had no prescriptions that they were taking, or one or two, and they're like, I'm just going to pay for them and I'll deal with the penalty somewhere down the line if I have to. 50 cents now.
Yeah.
Now, again, is that planned for absolutely everyone? It's not, but there's a lot of people that are really going to benefit from that plan for sure.
Yeah, and again, if that plan does not fit, there's still going to be very likely lower costing plans than what you currently have that can certainly be advantageous for you. So we welcome that. But so now we're talking about the people who are welcoming change or looking at it a little bit more often these days, and we love that crowd because really that's what keeps the insurance companies honest, in my opinion.
Right.
It really drives competition. But I want to talk a little bit about the fact that there are a lot of people out there who unfortunately don't like change.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to understand when you get comfortable with something, you know how it works, you've used it before, you've been pretty happy, you don't want to rock the boat, you just want to keep things moving as it's been, and you're comfortable with what you're paying. However, with the way that the economy as a whole has been for a lot of consumers, especially those on fixed incomes in retirement,
right,
living off of Social Security, maybe a little pension, maybe pulling from the retirement a little bit, the cost of groceries and gas and everything else, utilities, how that has been going up, as well as we expect Medicare Part B to go up a little bit this year. We really encourage those people who've been adverse to change to really reconsider, because there are cost-saving measures that, like you just talked about a few moments ago, cost-saving measures in place that can really expand your benefits out.
Yeah, for sure. And, our whole mission and goal, we work with all the carriers. There's no cost for our services, right? That's all important piece of the puzzle. But for us, we want to help people get in a plan the first time that they really like and works for what they want to do. That is our whole mission and goal, right? But their health doesn't always stay the same, right? The plans don't change the same. The prescriptions that they take don't always stay the same. So I love helping people narrow down this huge thing of 70 plans and whatever it is these days down into a couple of plans for them to ultimately choose from. But just because they do that, and like you said, they get comfortable in that plan, they like it, they like the way that maybe the pre-authorizations work and the customer service and everything, and then they start to feel a loyalty to that, which again, I think here, more than a lot of places in the country, we already have brand loyalty around insurance companies, right? There's two pretty big buildings, tall buildings downtown, right?
Yep.
And that is a great thing,
yep.
right? What I will say, though, is loyalty should always be to the individual consumer. Correct. Above everything else. So again, we want to help you get there, but just because you've gotten somewhere where you're comfortable and everything, you owe it to yourself to see if there's something else out there with all of the changes. And there's big changes, right? Even this year, there's a couple of pretty significant changes, right? They owe it to themselves to be loyal to themselves.
And I want to say the changes you speak of are really good changes.
Yes, positive changes.
Very positive changes. And I mean, look, Lance, you know this all too well. I've been doing this now for 13 years.
Yep.
I know the business pretty well by now. And
absolutely,
my own parents have been on a different Medicare plan, Advantage plan, every single year they've been on Medicare.
Right.
So knowing what I know, moving them around as I have to make sure it's to their benefit, we want to be able to provide a similar service to everybody who engages with us. And really what we're looking at is, when you talk about complacency with Medicare, the issue that I see really is insurance companies operate very similar to like your cell phone provider. And here's what I mean by that, Lance. You get, wooed a little bit. You see that commercial.
Wined and dined, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You see that commercial where they talk about, low monthly costs. and then they're going to give you Netflix free for a year,
Right.
and all of these other goodies along the way and whatnot. And you're like, okay, maybe I need to take a look at that. So you do. You become a new customer. They roll out the red carpet for you. You're happy. But the longer you stay typically with that carrier, things tend to change a little bit. Netflix is no longer there. Your rates go up a little bit. And we see very similar structures when it comes to insurance along the way, where the longer you stay with an individual program, the insurance company no longer feels like they have to put money into that plan to keep you happy.
Right.
Because you're just not going to change anyways. We're going to go and attract new customers by putting all the benefits on low costing plans. So
Right.
what I encourage everyone to do is think like a new customer every year,
Right.
especially when you have a resource like MediConnect on the ready, available through phone. You can come to our office. You can do it, in person at your home, wherever it is convenient for you. We will meet you in the middle and make sure that, within 45 minutes time, you have a good game plan laid for yourself as far as what you should be looking at, what you should take advantage of, how we can bring those prescription costs down for you, get all the extra benefits you're looking for so that you can really maximize and thrive with your Medicare coverage.
Yeah, definitely want to avoid the ostrich mentality, right? Just drop your head down in the sand and again, I think one of the biggest reasons why people do that as well, beyond loyalty or comfortability, right, is that they don't use their coverage a lot. So they don't really know exactly what has changed or what it provides. And again, you don't want to wait until, I'll give a real quick example. I had a lady a couple years ago, met with her and her husband. They had been clients of mine for years. We did our normal yearly review, which they really wanted. And they were like, we're good. We like you here. We're going to stick. Well, 2-3 weeks later, they gave me a call and said, you know what? We just had a doctor's appointment. Wife was diagnosed with cancer. Terrible, right? Are there any other options out there for us? Now, the thing of it is they loved their plan, they loved the benefits of their plan, but it had a higher max out of pocket, which was their liability, right? I said, so, well, there's a couple things, let's look at some plans that might have a lower max out of pocket. We were able to get them into a plan, didn't have some of the bells and whistles that they would like in a normal year, but from a medical standpoint, we were able to lower their max out of pocket down a little over $2,000.
That's big.
Which means with her chemo and everything that she was going to go through that year, now she doesn't have to pay that $2,000. It was a huge thing for them.
Yep.
Husband stayed on the plan he liked, moved the wife for her situation, and guess what? Cancer free, thank God, everything went great. Next year she went back to the other plan. You have to take advantage of the plans based on your certain scenario.
And I'll tell you what, now that we're only a week into the enrollment period, if you're the type of person who likes to brag to your friends and your family about how happy you're going to be with your coverage, especially once MediConnect helps you, now is the time to connect with MediConnect, 888-818-6334 or MediConnectInsurance.com.
Medicare is confusing and a little scary.
Plan B, Part B,
HMO, PPO. I feel lost.
Whether you're just starting Medicare or currently on Medicare, you're faced with critical decisions each year. Questions like, do I need a Medicare plan? Is my current coverage still my best option? Will I still be able to see my doctors? I'm Brian Breisinger with MediConnect, the area's premier independent healthcare advisory firm. We can help avoid costly pitfalls today and in the future. We can meet with you in person or over the phone. Choose an expert in your community.
MediConnect walked us through everything.
Best of all, it didn't cost us anything.
That's right. Our licensed experts can offer unbiased advice on all of your healthcare options at no cost to you.
MediConnect is a great organization.
MediConnect, bridging the healthcare gap. For no-cost advice, call 888-818-MEDI or go to MediConnectInsurance.com.
And welcome back to the Inside Connection podcast, powered by MediConnect Insurance. He is Lance O'Brien. I am Sean Horn. And, in the first segment, Lance, we talked a lot about the consumer mindset pertaining to Medicare, specifically around, why some people are very apt to change year in and year out. And then also why people, remain constant with their plan, obviously because of Medicare being difficult to figure out. And once you do, kind of kick your feet up and relax. But in this segment, I really want to, paint the picture related to benefits with the specific carriers that operate at a high level here in Southwestern Pennsylvania, so that we can really give a clear, viewpoint of why you should really take a look at your benefits this year even if you did last year, again, my own parents, yearly basis, they changed their plan. But for those consumers who, a year or two, they haven't seen much advancements or enhancements in coverage,
Yeah.
let's talk to them now. So, we want to break off the segment, begin it all out with a plan that left the area not that long ago, came back, and came back with a vengeance, if I do say so myself. I mean, they know it's a competitive market, so they truly brought their A game, and we're going to introduce the audience now to Cigna. So talk a little bit about what they have in store for 2024.
Yeah, and before we do that, I kind of feel like Taylor Swift on the Eras tour, right? We did a wardrobe change here, so really stepping up our game, right?
We are.
Fun times, good stuff. But Cigna came back into the marketplace last year with Medicare Advantage. Obviously, they've had SUP availability. But the big thing that they brought back last year was the dental allowance, right? $20,000 in dental allowance, which is just a huge number, right? And it was very popular. A lot of people were interested in it, learning more about it. So, believe it or not, $20,000 limit in a 12-month calendar year. If you have a lot of work that you need to get done, now there's some copay structures and other things built into it. But again, if anybody's really had significant dental work or they're getting ready to, it's something they need to look at, because you could be literally talking about those thousands of dollars. Other great copays within the package itself, access now to both AHN and UPMC, which they didn't have last year. So I think a lot of great advancements there for them for sure.
And I also want to throw in there the fact that, when we're looking at people's prescriptions, Cigna does offer a very competitive prescription drug program included in the Medicare Advantage plans, as well as a standalone program as well. So their formularies are also very strong. And again, when they came back with that $20,000 limit, it really opened the eyeballs of the competition as well. So, and we see this time and time again, somebody's going to come out with a benefit that makes the rest of the field go,
Yeah.
oh, and it raises the game, which is why it's such a competitive market and such a beautiful time to be on Medicare, truly. Look, I wish I could fast forward 20 years or so to be there myself, because my goodness, the benefits that are
I'm
available.
going to pull up in my caddy.
I know, right? the long one.
Yeah,
the steel
exactly.
body.
The limo caddy.
Without a doubt. So Cigna, again, strong plan offerings up and down their lineup, low premium plans. We're talking access to coverage within $30 a month on a lot of their plans. So,
Yep.
Again, worth a look for sure.
Good
But
stuff.
moving on from there, I want to highlight a local carrier, one of the biggest names. They're in the city skyline, prominent player there, and really at the forefront of healthcare for a great while here in Southwestern Pennsylvania. And really, what they have done is backed their benefits on the value of their concierge service, and of course, we're talking about UPMC.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a pretty big product suite, 19, 20 plans right in that area, so big product suite, great plan that they're introducing in the market in Allegheny County this year, but obviously strong in the other counties as well, right? $19, it's PPO, which is great. I think one of the benefits that they've really been leading the charge on is the Flex card.
Yeah.
Which, what I personally love about it is, not everybody's situation is the same. So like they might like the benefits on that plan, but because they have something change in their health, they're like, I may need to change plans in order to get that. Well, that Flex card gives them just what it sounds like, flexibility within that plan to get extra coverage for over-the-counter, dental, vision, things of that nature. And they've also added an A and B benefit to it this year.
Yeah, so that's unique, very
Yes,
unique for the
it
field,
is.
because when you're talking these copay cards and so forth, generally speaking, it's going to help towards Part B coverage elements. But the way that UPMC is offering it, it covers Part A as well. And Part A, for those of you tuning in for a while, you're aware of the fact that that means hospitalization most generally. So if you're an inpatient hospital stay, you can use this Flex card to help pay the copay of your hospital stay. That could be a couple $100s. So, I mean, that's huge in the fact that, number one, you can use it towards both elements, but also they've extended the benefit and created a higher allowance for a lot of their plans, as much as $750 this year.
Yeah, I think that's great. And then again, for some consumers out there, obviously the benefit package is really important and everything, but for those that, customer service is an important part. I mean, they've won national awards for the customer service.
Yeah.
So again, for people in the area, it's a great option for them to consider as well.
Yeah, and they also added a pretty hefty dental benefit as well. So again, UPMC pushing the envelope this year for sure, and it probably catching the eyes of some of the competition, much like how we talked about Cigna in the last product. So this is great once again for our consumers.
Competition's a win for the consumers all the time.
And of course, there's been a plan. It's been a mainstay here for 20 plus years. Led the charge with a $0 plan for as long as they've been available, but also have again another wide product sweep. Very loyal clients as well. And of course, we're talking about Aetna, who once again they're bringing us some strong benefits for 2024.
Yeah, seeing some lower premiums on some of their staple plans, right? I think one of the most exciting things they're bringing to the market this year is first dollar dental, right?
What does that mean?
So first dollar dental, generally on these Medicare Advantage plans, within the dental suite, you may get your cleanings and everything, your preventative at no copay. Not always, but it's the comprehensive, the root canals, the fillings, the crowns, all that stuff. Usually there's some kind of a percentage tied to it, which most people from their group coverage, they're aware of that, right? Like the company pays 50%, I pay 50%. Well, they're introducing this year first dollar dental, which basically means that there's no copay attached to the comprehensive services. So if I go in and I need up to the maximum allowed on the plan, so if the plan's $3,000, they pay the first $3,000 of my dental coverage for that year. So definitely something that I think is going to draw a lot of interest.
And they also, a few years back, introduced the copay debit card,
yes,
which is a much loved benefit by a lot of their members. Basically, you can use that benefit towards copays on your Part B incidents. So, if you're in physical therapy specialist, MRI, CT, a lot of these, items that maybe you weren't planning for. Something happens in your health and you need to go see a specialist, and then MRI, and much like me a couple of months back, you don't plan for these things. Oh my goodness, now I got to go into my budget, which is already minimal to begin with because of the rising cost of everything. How am I going to pay for this? Well, again, Aetna, forethinkers that they are, this benefit has been widely appreciated by their clientele.
Yeah, I think the clients that we've worked with that have really appreciated this benefits is the ones they may go to one or two specialists a quarter or something, right? And even though the plan carries a specialist copay, $30 or whatever, for this specific plan, it can be a little bit different. But because they get that $100 allowance every quarter, it's basically covering those copays for them. Which is a nice added benefit for them.
And then they also have that wide network as well. Yes. 100% of the facilities, 95% of the doctors.
Added the Aetna National Network.
Correct.
On some of the plans in the last year. Not every plan, but on some of the plans, some of the marquee plans. So yeah.
Yeah, they have a lot to offer. Again, in 2024, and again, they've had that $0 plan longer than anybody.
Yeah.
And they continue to add to it year after year.
Add eyewear this year for the first time, which is great. Which would package with the rest of the benefits on that plan makes it definitely a robust, rich plan to consider as well, for sure.
Yep. So stability has been key for them, and then of course another mainstay in the skyline of Pittsburgh. Last year, I think they really did a phenomenal job of pushing the envelope for everybody as well, and they continued at it once again with talking Highmark. The way that they've included their coverage to brand nationally with the Blue Cross Blue Shield network.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of access even outside of Pennsylvania to utilize your coverage on a lot of their plans. But they also have pretty strong benefits that they're going to rely on this year to drive membership.
Yeah, I mean, some of their plans, again, they're in that $25 or less range, right? Primary care $0, specialists, $10 copay, right? Physical therapy, $5.
$5.
Right. So again, for somebody who has something happen where they're going to need their 20 visits or whatever, that's definitely, I think, one of the things that was really unique and pretty awesome about what they did last year. Again, with all the carriers we've been talking about this morning, right?
Yep.
The PPO network, right, having the access to the Blues, but they took it a step further. They actually made a lot of the copays in network and out of network the same, which that's not common, right, Sean?
It's not common, and I'll even take it a step further than that and say it's almost like they operate without a network.
Yeah.
Meaning that, case in point, you have a situation pop up in your health and you get diagnosed locally and you're kind of wondering, I don't know, should I get a second opinion? You want to go to Johns Hopkins, Cleveland Clinic, Hershey Medical, whatever it might be, Thomas Jefferson, you want to go any of these facilities, you pay the same copay to see that world-renowned specialist as you would if they were right here in the city of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
It's great.
And that's a lot of their benefits go back and forth in parallel, again, whether in or out of network. So to have that type of flexibility to travel, if you want, or to go and utilize these services outside of this regionalized network, there's a lot of flexibility there.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the thing that I really like about it is, not everything across the country is going to be a blues. And for people who really are attracted to the nationwide network, if you will, that comes with a Medigap or a supplemental plan, right? And that's one of the reasons why they wouldn't maybe consider an Advantage plan. I'm not going to say this is the same nationwide network as you get with original Medicare, because it's not, but it really opens up that nationwide feel, which is a good opportunity for people.
And then lastly, we want to shine a light on Humana, who has been a power player nationally, for a number of
A
years.
lot of growth here in Pennsylvania over the last year or two.
A ton.
For sure. Yes.
Yeah, and I think they're making a lot of headway here in a very competitive market. Again, if you're going to play ball here, you got to bring your A game. And I think that they're really realizing that. And the benefits, again, they have a plan that you can access now in Allegheny County, has a $1,500 maximum out of pocket.
Yeah, which again, comparatively in the market against other Advantage plans, it's a lower, option, right? And it has a very SUP-like feel. Premiums a little bit more, but the benefit structures are lower, the max out of pocket lower. There's dental, vision, and hearing in the plan, which you don't normally get with your supplemental coverage. So it's a nice alternative for people that want to not have to pay a lot of potential out-of-pocket costs with their, should their health dictate it. And then they've got a plan that offers $100 back.
And Part B give back, yeah.
Part B give back, which has been a very popular, nice option. Veterans, they have a plan that's solid there as well. So yeah, I mean, it's great from our perspective, a lot of opportunity, right? And I think that's awesome for the people who live here in Western PA.
Real quick before we go, I also want to mention how they have a plan that does work with Eliquis very, very affordably, as low as $10 per month for that medication. So we're starting to see the impacts of that, the Inflation Reduction Act taking forward with Medicare negotiating out these drug costs. So there's a lot of movement, folks. A lot happened with Medicare, as is every year. But this year in particular, you cannot afford to stay on the sidelines. You have to get involved. The top-rated experts at MediConnect stand ready to help you right now. 888-818-6334 or MediConnectInsurance.com.